Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, good. Baruch Hashem. Wow. Let's see if I can. Great. All right. Wow. Okay, Chavre, it's Mamash Moededik. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Shabbos Daf Kuf Tes Zayin. We are in middle of the sugya of Kol Kisvei HaKodesh Matzilin Oisai Mipnei Hadaleka, as we have been explaining. In other words, we're speaking about a scenario where there's a fire. There is no pikuach nefesh here, therefore the fire may not be put out. As we'll be learning in the further Mishnayos, that many articles have a certain restriction of how much of it may you save. There is an issue of tircha on Shabbos, that's so to say not necessary. There is also, as we'll be learning in a Mishnah today, we're speaking about that if one will save articles from the house, taking it outdoors, the outdoors is a location that rabbinically one may not carry. Nevertheless, the Chachamim, because of the honor that we have to afford Kisvei HaKodesh, referring to Tanach, they make a dispensation. No problem with tircha in this scenario. No issue with carrying in a mavui she'ena mafulash. You may save all of them. And we're going to continue the sugya by asking what happens if a person has gilyonim. Now, gilyonim literally means blank portions of parchment. What exactly is that referring to? Is it referring to the parchment that is under the letters, and let's say the letters got erased? Are we speaking about margins of the Sfarim, margins that are still connected to them, margins that were cut off? All of that will become clarified. But there's going to be a general question whether there is enough kedusha in blank parts of parchment in gilyonim that will justify, and we also will therefore have this heted of being matzalit b'pnei hadaleka. We have a lot about the black ink, right? That refers to the light of godliness that comes down on the lowest level. It's dakat black because the light is hidden. The more God is hidden, the more we have access to it. And then you have the white around the black, the white fire. And really, we have what's called in Chassidus, we have makif hakarif and makif harachik. You have the white parchment that's immediately around the letter. And when you write letters, all of them have to be surrounded with white. That's one of the halachas that we have for seifrim. And then you have the margins. You have the part of the parchment that's all the way on the top, all the way on the bottom, in between the pages, in the beginning and at the end of a sefer. Right, they're far away from the letters, and Mamish the Gemara is going to be clarifying as to what Gilyonim will be referring to. From there, we're going to be speaking about Sfarim that are written by Minim. Minim either refers to Goyim, or as we'll actually speak out, that there was a Rashi here that was censored by the Goyim, and Rashi explains that our sugya is speaking about Sfarim that were written by the early Christians. Tragically, they were Yidden. But being that they were Yidden, that they knew better, and they rejected the Torah, and they, Rahman al-Islam, introduced this concept that there's a bris chadasha. So there's a particular distance that we have to make from them, and we're going to learn that Sifrei Minim, Achloikes Tanoim, not only do we not have to save it from a fire, but actually, according to some, we are to burn them. From there, we're going to speak about different philosophers that used to debate Yidden. Some of them belonged to the group of Minim, and some of them were Kaviyachal philosophers. They thought they were Chachamim. We're going to see Bechlal whether it's a worthwhile endeavor to debate these philosophers or not. The Rebbe Shita was in our generation. Bechlal, don't debate him. We're going to be we'll learn a Gavaldic story that happened between Rabban Gamliel and his sister, her name was Ima Shalom, how they exposed the fraud of one of these philosophers, because they also came on the premise that they're honest people, many of them were judges, and they exposed them to be mizakta fraud. We're going to learn a lot more about this Isur Midrabanan of learning Ksuvim on Shabbos. Mama, shocking. You can't read Ksuvim. Exactly where can you not read it? I want people to know that Tehillim is part of Ksuvim. What does that mean? You can't read Tehillim on Shabbos? So we're going to speak to how today we do not abide by this takana, and we'll explain why. Actually, it's going to be fantastic. We're going to learn today, according to the Ragat Shavar Goyen, he uses our sugya to explain why is it that on Shabbos we don't say Magdil Yeshua Smalkoi, we say Migdal Yeshua Smalkoi. You ask a person, why is that? Today, God willing, we will all know. We're going to move on to a new Mishnah, continuing first in the sugya of saving Sifrei Kodesh. What's going to happen if you have a Sefer Torah, especially like the Sfardish ones, that they are in a very strong case, and you can put other things in the case? What happens if there's money in the case? So you're saving the Sefer Torah from the fire, you're saving it for the covet of the Torah, but you're also saving it because there's something personal for you. When you do something for God and for you, does it diminish the Kavod Shemayim? Right? When you eat food, L'Kavod Shabbos Kodesh, but you're not only eating it because it's L'Kavod Shabbos, you're eating it L'Kavod your palate. Does it minimize the L'Kavod Shabbos Kodesh or not? This is a very gavaldic topic. It's really a machloikes tanoim. It's going to jump, it's going to lead us into a sugya in Psachim, as we will explain, and a lot more. I'm going to let us start on DAF Kuf Tezayin Amud Aleph. We left off, you have the little Gillian Hashas Rabbi Kiva Eger Siman, 13 lines from the top of the Amid with the words Iboya Lohu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. All right, let us go. Chavre Freilach. They asked in the yeshiva, how will yoinim shall say for Torah, blank portions of the Torah, guys, in the Havamina, we're putting everything together. Blank portions, meaning the parchment under the letters, if the letters got erased. Blank portions will mean if there's the margins. Blank portions might be when they're still connected to the Iker scroll, or maybe they were cut off. We don't know yet. But blank portions, matzilin oisma pnei adleika, or ein matzilin oisma pnei adleika. Is this heted for that, or is it only if you have letters on the scroll? So let's begin. So the Gemara, through bringing various brises, will clarify the limitation of where their question was. What exactly is the scenario? So before we know that, let's begin at least trying to answer, and therefore limiting the boy. Tashema, Sefer Torah Shabbalam. A Sefer Torah that was worn out. Guys, don't confuse worn out and erased. Erased means that it's a good parchment. Someone erased, took off the letters. They scraped off the letters. A worn out scroll means that the parchment got so old that the parchment is already not good. So if a Sefer Torah, they got worn out, and if there were still, whether they are mamish individualized letters, whether at least they are in the form of words, but they are spread out. That was the machlekes we had yesterday in Afun and Abchizda. But however you're going to approach it, if you can put together 85 letters, as we have been learning, that means that this sefer retains its kedusha. So then the din says the Braisa matzilin. So then, yeah, you save it. The imlav ein matzilin is the charaya, tepuklei, bishum gilyon didei. In other words, why do you have to have, my friends, 85 letters? Let's say there's no 85 letters. If just the gilyon of a sefer justifies you saving it from the fire, then even if there's no 85 letters, there was a sefer on it, so everything else is called a gilyon. You should save it for the gilyon. Is the charaya? No, you're not allowed to save a gilyon. You have to have the 85 letters. That's an ayah. So the Gemara says like this. No. Boloshani. When a Sefer Torah got worn out, that indicates that the quality of the parchment it's not the same parchment, right? The top layer of the parchment was worn down. That loses its kedusha. And on a worn out parchment, if you don't have letters, then in fact you can't save it. But the boya must have been, the inquiry that they had was if the parchment was not worn out, it's still good quality parchment. Maybe that still has kedusha, even if there's no letters on it. So Vaitir Gemara says, Tashima, another Baraisa, Sefer Torah Shenimcha, here it's clear. Sefer Torah that was erased, that means that it wasn't bala, it's not worn out. Here again, we have the same criterion. Only im yesh boy lalakach shmenim v'chamish oisias kigoyin parshas vayhi ben asoy ha'arin. Only then matzilin the im lave matzilin. And now, hold on. If the gillion itself has enough kedusha that justifies us saving it from the fire, you can do v'tircha, you can carry midrabanan. Typically, mishum gillion diday. Viter, who needs the 85 letters? Oh. And again, here the parchment is in good condition. The letters were erased, not that they got worn out by themselves. So the Gemara says further like this: when you have a parchment, don't look at the margins. Look at the parchment itself, the place upon which you wrote the letters. There, it's only when you wrote letters on it, which means why is it holy? Because of the letters. So if you remove the letters, a certain amount of kedusha left. That is for sure. All right. And why does it lose its kedusha when the letters are erased? Because why did it become holy to begin with? It became holy because you put letters on it. So if the cause is removed, then the effect is removed as well, right? Kibush of Yeshua, when the Nebuchadnezzar conquered us, everyone holds that kedusha left. Because if we acquired the kedusha sa'aretz through kibush, that's the logic we always speak out. Then when there was a counter kibush by the goyim, we lost the kedusha, right? When Ezra entered Eretz Yisrael, it was not through kedushas kibush, it was chazaka, and that many shitas hold that it's holy until today. Same concept over here. The chi kadosh, agav ksavu the kadosh, and therefore we say that azal ksavu azal kedusha say. However, kikimi bayili, what was the baya? What is the baya? Not the area upon which letters are written, not the area that's mamish immediately around the letters, that's also connected to the letters, but parts of the parchment that are removed from the letters. Shalmaila, Vishalmata, Bachlal, the reason why we have a margin is to beautify it. It's not needed. Even if you don't have all of that margin, it would have been kosher anyways. So the place of the parchment above the columns, under the columns, Shebein Parsha La Parsha, between every Parsha, we have to leave a couple of right, we leave a space that's empty. Between every column, there's a lot of space. Or the parchment in the beginning of the Sefer, right? You have to have empty parchment to wrap it around the Eitz HaChaim. Or Shabbat Sefer. Here, those places were always going to be blank. They were never meant to be written upon. And now the question is, are those parchments holy enough to justify you saving it? And again, the Gemara is going to go into a technical question. I don't understand. What was the Braisa before? The Braisa again says that you have a Sefer, you erase the letters. If you have 85 letters left, then you can save it. And if not, you can't save it. Why not? Whoa, why not? If that also has a gillion, that also has the margins that are removed from the letters. If they have Kedusha, save it for that. Save it for that. Is again as Arai that Gilyonim don't have enough Kedusha to justify you being matzalit from the fire. The Gemara says, I'll tell you that Braisa was only the Goyes Ushdi. That Braisa was a case, not only were the letters erased, but the margins were cut off. And therefore, again, all is left is the parchment that used to have on it or right near it letters. And that is where the Braisa says that if you don't have the 85, you can't save it. But what's going to happen if you didn't cut off the margins? Then we don't know. Then maybe again for this, it's a Gavaldik concept, like Makif Harachai, the far margins have more Kedusha than the parchment that's under or immediately around the letter. And Taka, we learn in Chassidus that Makif HaKarev is a much higher level of godliness. So Vaiter Tashema, here we're going to attempt to prove it from a Mishnah. Now this Mishnah is connected. Chevre, we're going back to the beginning. Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis and Shabbos. We began the sugya of the Shmoina Asa Davar, Dini Tumah V'Tara Gezeres that they made right in the attic. And it says in the Mishnah that that when it comes to the blank parts of the parchment, and the Mishnah says clearly, what gilyonim, shel mailov, shel mata, on top of the column, the margins under the column, between one parsha and the plate of the other, that you leave a couple of empty lines, between every single column, bein daf ladaf, and or shebetchilas hasefer, shebeseifa hasefer, all of them, the takana that they made, that if you touch it, it's metama midrabban and your hands become a sheni, that therefore there will be metama truma if you touch truma, and all of that. You remember, they didn't want us to store truma near Sifrei Kodesh, because people would do that. They say the svarim are holy, the food is holy, and then mice would come and eat up the food and eat up the svarim. So they made this takana. Here also, metama es hayodayim. So that's a raya. We're linking together. What is metama yodayim? Something that has kedusha. The fact that it's matama yadayim, it means that it's holy. If it's holy, then you should save it. So that should resolve the boya. Again, the Gemara says you can't resolve it. Dilma agaf sefer Torah shani upa. When the margins are on the sefer Torah, that the sefer Torah has kedusha, right? We're not saying that the sefer Torah has letters that are erased. No, it's a proper sefer Torah. Then that kedusha for sure extends even to the margins. And if someone touches only the margins, their hands are tummy, right? That's why we are so careful, my friends. When you have a sefer Torah, we're not allowed to touch any part of the inside of the parchment. We can touch it in the outside. This is so important. Sometimes when you roll a sefer Torah and it's not perfectly aligned, we're not allowed to grab with our hands to bring the parchment up or down. You have to use the gartel, right? Because you're only touching the margins. No, if the margins are connected to the sefer, then for sure it has kedusha. The boya is if it's not connected to the sefer, or if the sefer got erased, all of the letters got erased. So we still don't know. Is that still holy? Tashima Abraisa Hagalyonim, the Sifrei Minim. That's where we're starting the sugya of Sifrei Minim. Now Rashi here, this Rashi was censored by the Goyim. So Rashi, he writes Minim, Sifrei Minim, right, the last third of the Amid. Rashi seems to be writing, we're speaking about priests, right? People that work in a church, and they wrote a Tanach, and they wrote it nach chutzpah uksavashuris, and they wrote it to Lashon HaKodesh. That's our Rashi writing about what this Braisa is referring to. Later we know that this Rashi was censored. We're speaking about the Yidden that were the early Christians, that Rachmanim, that were Yidden. They're much worse, and they wrote Tanach. So says the Braisa, Ein matzilin oison etnei adleika. If there's a fire burning on Shabbos, speaking about Shabbos, and therefore again you have to violate tircha, you have to violate rabbinic carrying. You may not do that. Elo nisrafim b'mekoymam hein va'askeroisem. You allow them to be burnt, even though you have Hashem's holy names written in it. A lot more about this soon. This is only one shita. We'll learn later other Tanoim that hold that you have to burn it in the weekdays by yourself, because the Shemos have no kedusha. Because if they had in mind Yashke when they wrote a Shem, it has zero kedusha. But coming back over here, so my love says Gilyoinin, it's a category, the Sefer Torah, and clearly the Braisa is saying that may not be saved. It's like a Sefer Minim. But the Gemara says no. The Gilyon of that Sefer, the Gilyon of the Sefer of the Christians, that is what may not be saved. But ask the Gemara, I don't understand if that's Pshat in the Braisa. If the Braisa says the Sefer itself, and there are Shemus of Hashem, and the Braisa is saying it was written by the early Christians, you can't save it, so why even mention the Gilyonim? So the Gemara says, no, maybe, maybe, that the Sifrei Minim are like their Gilyonim, right? Or are like, it means it's like nothing. Just because there's words written on it, since it was written by people that are going against God, it's like a blank parchment, and therefore you may not write it. The Gemara here does not conclude with a resolution to this inquiry. So where do we, just to quickly recap, the parchment upon which letters were written, if those letters were erased, the parchment loses its kedusha. You should just know this is we're learning quick. This goes against so many other rules that we have elsewhere. For example, that kedusha lo yizazah mimekayma. Once something is holy, it remains holy. And it's not a stira. There are different levels of Kedusha. So there's a certain level of Kedusha that remains. But that is not enough Kedusha for you to be allowed to break rabbinic Shabbos by carrying it to the Mavish Eder Mafulish. For that, you need to have a higher level of Kedusha. So that higher level of Kedusha gets removed when you remove the letters. The question is, the Makiv HaRachaik, the parts of the parchment that are far away from the letters, do we say, now if no Sefer Torah was written yet on it, they're not holy. But now that a Sefer was written on it, here there's a psasfara to hold that they retain a higher level of Kedusha. Can you imagine? The farther away from the letters, the greater Kedusha. Without Chassidus, it's impossible to understand it, but we understand it. Because again, there's godliness, then Hashem is mitzamtzim himself to finally be revealed over here. What we consider a revelation of God means that God concealed himself more. The more we can have God means that God made more tzimtzumim. Because if Hashem would have been, from God's perspective, more revealed, God would have been beyond our grasp. So the black letters have, so to say, the lowest level of Kedusha. They represent the lowest level of godliness. Hashem through many tzimtzumim. The blank parchment, especially the ones that are far away, they represent the Oid Ein Sof beyond, before tzimtzum. That is much greater. That is much greater. And that, whether you have the letters or not, right, that Kedusha l'chayda can still remain. Going back to this, all this also can be applied to Yidden, right? So there's a level of our Kedusha that has to do with our observance. If the letter is removed, then it's taka not good. They got to do tshuva. But then there is a much loftier level of our neshamot, Yisrael, afal pishachata, Yisrael, whether the letter is there or not, the Kedusha is the same. Let's move on. Okay. So now that we mentioned Sifrei Minim, Gufam, Hagel Yerim, Sifrei Minim, and not the way we said it's the same thing. So it says in a Braisa, Ein Matzilan Oisem Epnei Adleik. This kind of holds that during the week it's holy. On Shabbos, if you have to be Mechalal Shabbos Midrabanan, don't do that. We're not done yet. However, Rabbi Yossi Omer, no. The Chayil, even in the weekdays, you have to take out the Shemos HaKadoshim, where it says Hashem, where it says Elokim, that you have to take out. You cut it out. And the rest, and that has to be Geniza, Begoinza. But the Hashem Seifon, burn the rest. Why burn the rest? Because it was written by Yamin. Amar Ab Tarfin, even more radical. No, don't cut out the God's names. God's names have no Kedusha there. And he uses many times, this is not the first time, a very strong lashon, that akapach es banai. He's like threatening himself. I will, God forbid, right, bury my own sons. That what she'im yovoyu liyadi sha'ani esrev oisam. I will bury my sons that if I put my hands on such a sefer, written by the Christians, and we're speaking about the Yidden, that they knew better. They knew the emes. That if I won't burn it with the God's names, then I'm worthy to lose my sons. Them with es haskara shebehem. Wow. And he gives them much, right? As a klal, if someone is running after you to kill you, pikuach nefesh, or if there's a person or a snake coming to bite you, so nichnas lebeis avodah zarah, you are allowed to enter a church to save your life. You're not allowed to serve avodah zarah. You can enter a church. However, the ein nichnas lebateim shalelu, but you may not even enter the home of a yid, right? That went ahead and he became a believer in Yashkem. Shahalalu, because the latter ones, makirim v'koifrim, they know God, they know the emes, and they're koifir. You can't even enter their home. But halalu, but the above, stam oiv avodah zarah, they don't know better. Ein makirim v'koifrim. And va'aleim, and on the latter ones, on the minim, on the earlier minim, hakasav oimer, va'achrei, it's like Jews for Jesus, but Jews for Jesus that should know better. We're not speaking about a Tanach shenishba. Va'aleim, hakasav oimer, va'acher adelos ha'mezuzah sam tzichreinech. Criticism that you hid me behind the door. You knew me, and you hid me behind the door. That's the end of the world. So therefore, again, the concept is that when they wrote their askaras, they had in mind their deity. It has no kedusha. You burn it biyadayim. Amar Rabbi Shmuel, I agree with Rab Tarfin and Kal V'Chomer that you can burn biyadayim the askaros. That what? Umalasi shalom enishli ishtai parshas nasai the Torah v'soita. Amar Torah shmish enichla v'kedusha yimachal amoyim. So halalu shematilim kina. That they are the ones, right, who arouse jealousy, the eva, and the hatred, and tachrus, and desertion, dissension, ben Yisrael, Allah has kama v'kama, that we should even erase God's name, abi, to destroy those Sfarim. And va'aleim Amar David. Wow, we're not done yet. Haloi, misanech Hashem esno. Those who hate you, Hashem, says David HaMelech, I hate. Those who fight against you, I fight with them. With the utmost hatred. The Herst, I hate them. David HaMelech says, they are my enemies. If they're your enemies, they're my enemies. And this is really the whole Tanya, Perek Yud, right? That how do you measure the difference between a tzaddik gomer and a tzaddik she'eino gomer? How much does that yid hate that which God hates? In other words, the more you love God, the more you hate what God hates. And David HaMelech, that is the Nasi in Yisrael, a tzaddik gomer, by that Rebbe, that also expresses itself that he has the greatest hatred for those who God hates. And here we're learning that the minim, and again, it was censored out. It means that the people that abandoned Yiddishkeit, Nebuch, and they went over to believe in Yashka, they are the ones who are, so to say, the greatest enemies of God, as we see today. Right? It culminated, the whole Christianity culminated in the Holocaust. And therefore, we can burn their Sfarim. All right, now let's go back to the Baraisa. That means Rabbi Shmuel agrees with Rab Tarfon, even according to the Tanach on Shabbos, right? L'kula alma kach ein matzilin oison lemin hamapoilis v'loimin hamayim v'loimin davar hamaabdon. Right? That if something collapses on it, if you have to make an effort to save it, right? This obviously is going back to Rabbi Yossi. I'm saying this is going back to Rabbi Yossi. So here, even though that normally B'choil, he would cut out God's holy name, you don't have to cut it. If you're not destroying it, b'yodayim, then you can let everything get destroyed, even the Hashem's Askaris. Okay. So now, boy, Yosef Bar Chanem Rababo, Honei Sifrei Debei Avidon. What is the Bei Avidon? For those of us who went to London, you have what's called the Speaker's Corners, Gedenkst in Hyde Park. So you have certain areas where people like debating. Now, today there, because we're living in a world that there's a new religion called atheism, but before that, there was different gods, different getchkes, and there was a lot of these debates were of religious content. So we want to know whether the Sfarim that are written by the people who debate, whether they have a status of a min. And that's the nature of debaters. Sometimes they don't even believe in their position. You say A, I say B, and I'll debate you. And if you're a good debater, that's why the whole debating is a farce. Because just because you want to debate, just because you don't have the answer, doesn't mean that you're wrong. Just you don't have the oisius to debate this person. So the question is, are the Sfarim that are written by the people that frequent this Bei Avidons, does that have Kedusha? Do we consider them the minim? Even though sometimes in public they will take the side against Yiddishkeit, but they're doing it just to debate, or not. So Rababo, the Gemara says, we just had this a few daf ago, I think it was on Av Yehuda regarding what Shita Shmuel was, and V'lav V'rafya B'yodei. Sometimes he said yeah, sometimes he said not, which means it was weak. He didn't have a certain position. Okay. However, let's go to Rav. Rav wouldn't even enter that area. Now, the reason why Rav would not enter that area is not because Rav considered them to be like the minim, but look inside the last line in Rashi in the Amma. This is very important. So Rashi says, Rav, in a few lines later, we'll learn about the Rav, that he didn't enter Lebei Avidan because when they lost the debate, they would get violent. And that was the challenge that Yidden had b'chal debating. First of all, you might lose the debate. Doesn't mean you're wrong. But if you lose the debate, then they would force you to convert. But if you would win the debate, you would also be in Atzara. Then Amban won the debate and they wanted to kill him because he won the debate. Look inside Rashi. Now for Noah, right, they were Misyadim Mileches Lebei Avidan. Shema mitoich sheizvakhu yamdu aleim v'yahargum. They knew they'll win the debates, so they didn't go there. Back inside the Gemara. So Rav didn't go there. And the Kolshchein, that he would not go to that environment, he never went to another place called Bei Nitzrefei. Rashi says Bei Nitzrefei already. That was like a church. In other words, there's a speaker's corner. That's a public area. Who goes there? Then the people that were challenging Jews, amongst other things, with our belief, they had the Kaviyachal, their belief. But then you had these debates happening in a church that he never entered. For sure, he never entered. Shmuel, lebeinis Tefilla yazal, he would never enter a beis avodah zarah, but lebei avidan azal. But he would go lebei avidan. It wasn't religious in nature, even though the people there would debate, fighting against Yiddishkeit. Shmuel was confident in his circumstance that the goyim won't kill him when he'll win the debate. The Rebbe designated a few people that they had the right to debate. But again, as a klau, right? Rabbi Emmanuel Shachat, he was the debater. But that's an exception. And even he would never enter a church, God forbid. He would go to Abei Avidan to debate them. But most of us should not do that. They asked Rabbi, why didn't you go to Lebei Avidan? And he didn't want to give them the honest answer. See, he didn't want to go there because he was afraid that when he'll win, they'll kill him. But he didn't want to tell that to them. Then they'll weiter kill you because you tell a person that who's violent, oh, you're violent, they get angry and they get violent. So he made up an excuse, right? To save your life. No, because going to debate to this speaker's corner, I have to go over a place and it's difficult to walk, there's a tree sticking out. So they said, oh, fine, we'll make they uprooted the tree and Vaitiri didn't come. So they asked him, why don't you come? So he said, they uprooted the tree. So now going there, there's a hole in the ground. Because he made up excuses not to go there. Again, that's where the Rashi says that you see Rava, like Rav, had a real fear that what's the upside of winning the debate? It's time it was entertainment. Even today, it's not because of their seichel. Now, there are exceptions to that. And for those exceptions, you have to make sure that you have a yid that has the right oisius. Okay, weiter. Mar bar Yosef. Ano minayu ano. In other words, ano minayu, God forbid, not that I'm one of them. We're speaking about these debates. He says, I'm comfortable with them. They know me. And therefore, I'm not right? He got a little bit liberal over here, Mar. And you know what happened? He felt very comfortable with them. Everything is nice, everything is ecumenical. One time he went there and they were about to kill him. Oh, so then he chapped. No, Staka, gotta be careful. They can appear to be very pacific, they can be peaceful, we just want to debate. It's an ishtazoi. Anything that touches emunah, touches something in a person that's much deeper, and God forbid, if you insult someone else's belief system, then you're putting yourself in danger. So that's the challenge. You can't lose, but you can't win. So don't debate, says the Gemara. Now this is there was a whole culture then of these debaters. Here we have maybe the only time in the Gemara the word philosopher. So says the Gemara like this: Ima Shalom, that's a name of a woman. Just like we learned Abba Chalafta, Ima is also a chashav, a name you give to a chashav, a woman. So her name was Shalom. Interesting that Shalom here is a woman's name. And Ima Shalom, who was the wife of Rabbi Eliezer, who was the sister of Rabban Gamliel, Hava, Hahu, Philosopher, Bishivivusei. There was a certain philosopher. Now, this philosopher, again, wasn't a priest. Again, this is a person that was one of these group people that they used to debate. They were debaters, and all these debaters put on the farce, they put on the bluff that they're very intellectual, honest people. I'll live the way I think, but the Europeans were that way. At least in America, people say, I live the way I feel. They're more honest. But they presented themselves to be very intellectual, honest people. Now, this philosopher, because of his Greisha Chachma, right, and he had an extra IQ in his Maya Habina, they appointed him to be a judge. And in order for him to have credibility as a debater or as a philosopher, he needed always to present himself to be the most honest judge. He was the most corrupt judge. Oh, and what's that corrupt, honest judge or a corrupt judge? Pashit, can you bribe him or not? So everyone thought that he's such an honest judge and he's not subject even to shoichat. To have a shakol shema, he made himself a aura. He made for himself a reputation, right? That he doesn't ever accept shoichat, and that gave him credibility. He was an honest person. He was the big debater. He was a good debater. And therefore, instead of winning him on the debate floor, which again, according to many Amoraim, they never went there. This is Bisman HaTanoim. Don't debate them. It's dangerous for you. There's no upside. They wanted simply to expose that he's corrupt. That's the best way you win the debate. You're showing him that he's a farce. So they wanted to make a mockery of him. So what did they do? They made believe Rabbi Gamliel and his sister, they were making up Ke'ilu, they were having a dispute. And they decided that he's going to be their judge about a Yerusha. And before they went to him for the day, before they had their day of the din, the night before, the day before, says the Gemara, the woman, the sister, Ima Shalem, gave him a beautiful gift. She gave him a golden candelabra. Before, right? Before she went in litigation. And that's the way you give a bribe. You don't tell a judge, here, let me give you a bribe and you make sure you rule in my favor. No, you play along with them. They're honest. No, you're honest. This is independent of tomorrow's dentaida. I like you. Here's a gift. Nothing to do. You can rule against me. The moment you give a judge a gift, no matter what you say, it's all bluff. You give a person a gift, they're already going to lean on your side. All of these stories we have in the Gemara elsewhere, right? That the night before, the day before, someone gave up truma to a judge, someone gave any type of help to a judge. He's no longer a judge for them. Even if he was not aware that you gave it to them. Unconsciously, if you give me a gift, I'm going to lean in your favor. So that's what they did. So she gave him a gift. And now they came, what was their din title? The whole thing was a love. They were fighting, their father passed away, and there was a Yerusha. We know from Parshas Pinchas that when there is a son and a daughter, the daughter does not inherit. It's a pasuk in the Chumash. It's almost a beferish pasuk in the Chumash. So Amrulay, so she came to the judge by saying, no. I want to also be Yarshin. I want to be Yarshin together with my brother, right? Gender equality. But the nifligele benichse, the veinashe. The veinashe means my father's household. I want to be an equal Yoirish. So Amrlahu, so he got a gift. So in that, so he paskin taka plugu. Divide it. Yeah, 2 siblings, same father. Both of you will divide the estate. Rabbi Gamliel tells this judge, Omar Lei, but Ksiv Lon, for us in our Torah it says, B'makim B'ra, whenever there is a son, Bartolei Serus, a daughter doesn't inherit together. Omar Lei, to which the judge responded, Min Yoima the Geleisun Ma'archoin, from when you went into Galus, Isnetilas Oiraisa de Moshe, God forbid, the Torah of Moshe was removed from the Jewish people. This is the argument of the early Christians, right? They call themselves the new covenant, the Bris Chadasha. The old Bris is not relevant, God forbid. And now there's a different book. And he pulled out what they call the New Testament. And Eksiv Bey, and there it says, that's the Teichen, that a son and a daughter inherit in quality. The Torah is old styled. Now we're enlightened. Now there's gender inequality. It's not fair. Doesn't make sense. Go debate. Go defend the Torah. We don't have to defend anything. This is what God wants. Now there's a Yerushalmi that says even better. He says that in Parshas Pinchas, where the Torah writes for the first time that daughters don't inherit. So Vishteit in Pasuk, it says like this: Ish ki yamus uvein ein loi ha'avartem es tachlos elevitoi. If a man passes away and has no son, then it goes to his daughter. So we teach is a raya that if he does have a son, none of it goes to the daughter. So he said no. He said the pshat in the pasuk is that if a man dies and has no son, then all of it goes to the daughter. If a man passes away and he has a son and a daughter, then it goes 50-50, which is shtusim. Anyways, this is in other words, the goyim even worse. These minim, they try to show you that it's not even new. Whatever they believe in is written in the Torah. When they come and knock on your doors, these missionaries, that's what they try to do. They show you from the Tanach. First of all, they don't translate it correctly, but they try to show you we're not inventing anything new. That's really what it says. The emes is that they believe it's new because they say that the old is not relevant anymore. Okay, anyways, we pulled out a chumash. He either touched the chumash differently or he was at least a little bit honest that no, that I don't care about the chumash anymore. And that was his psagdin. Now, what happened? What happened was that after the Din Torah was over, L'machar hadar ayel be'iyu chamra luba. Guys, if you remember on Daf Nun Aleph, we learned about a very good quality chamoir, right? A Rolls Royce, a Lubian chamoir. So Rabbi Gamliel gave him a gift, not related to the Din Torah. We're friends. Tom, I have an extra chamor. You're such a great philosopher. Not related. He gave him as a donkey a gift. And then first they found a justification to go to retrial. So by the retrial, Amalahu, so now the judge got a new bribe from Rabbi Gamliel. So he reverted his judgment. He said, Shapilis l'seifa de sifra. Shapilis means, I looked over, go further down later in the Sefer, and there, and the Kasav Bey, he brought out the original Goyish Taichin of our Chumash, that I, meaning Yashke, I didn't come to diminish any part of the Torah. Now, the word Veloy is not correct. Take it out. It's they claimed originally, the Christians are not coming to diminish the mitzvahs, they're coming to add. So if they're not coming to diminish, since Uksiv Bey, so the judge changed his mind now. That what? He said, when there is a son, the daughter gets nothing. So I reverse my din Torah, my ruling. And now all of the possessions goes to Rabbi Gamliel. So Amrolei, so she, right, Ima Shalim tells the judge, you know what? I accept it. May your light shine like a lamp. What was she really telling him? She was being maramis. She was being maramis. Hey, I gave you a lamp. What are you doing? I gave you a gift. How can you rule against me? So when Gamliel heard his sister appealing, hey, may your light shine like a lamp. So Rabbi Gamliel, so that Gamliel told him, not her, told the judge, no, that Asa Chamra, that my donkey came, and kicked away my sister's lamp. And therefore, you're going to have to keep your ruling for me because my bribe was better than her bribe. All of that is to show in the Gemara that he was a big philosopher and he was a big chacham. And so what? So what? So when he was bribed, he thought one way. When he was bribed, it could even be that in his own mind, he thought he's honest. Many times it goes that way. But really, he was biased. He was biased towards the one who gave him a bigger bribe. And all of this is bekitzed, not to debate heretics. Weiter. Okay. So we're going me'inyan le'inyan about not reading ksuvim on Shabbos. And again, how do we apply this today? Halacha l'maisa, we know that we do read ksuvim on Shabbos. So let's begin. So the Mishnah said the words mipnei bittul beis hamedrash. So now we have a machlokes Rav and Shmuel. Omar Rav lo yishanu this gezeira ela bizman beis hamedrash. Right? Only during the time of the drasha, and I made a mistake yesterday. I want to correct myself. The Seder wasn't that they learned in the afternoon because there's a klal. Whenever a person drinks, even kiddush, you drank it via saviyayin, you are not allowed to paskin dinim. You're not allowed to paskin dinim. At kedei kach that it used to be that Pesach by night, certain rabbanim would begin their Seder very late. Because if there would be a shaila that someone is going to come running to them to resolve, they don't want to be even after kiddush. Okay, so the Seder was, correct, people davened relatively earlier, but before they went to eat, that is when, after the davening, there was a long shiur, which was really to share halachis, to teach people Issav Heter. So during that time is the time when you can't read, because if you're going to read ksuvim, it's a lot nicer to read ksuvim than to hear the rabbi's speech. And that could be true, could be the rabbi doesn't give a good speech, but people have to learn halachis. The halachis were not printed then. So that's why they made an issur not to read ksuvim. But if it's not in the time that people are learning, which means after the meal, Shabbos afternoon, Rav says, go read your ksuvim. Shmuel says, even in the afternoon, ein koyden. As a loy plug. Shabbos, if you're going to read it in the afternoon, we'll see soon really why he said so, but he said the whole day. That is, how can you quote Shmuel saying so? By being the machmer for Narda'a, which was the town under the rabbinic leadership of Shmuel, Asad Shmuel Hava, ubenarda'a paskei sidra b'ksuvim b'minchas Shabbat. In Narda'a, in the shul, they would read parts of ksuvim Shabbos afternoon. See, today we have a haftarah in the morning, and haftarah is only from Nevi'im. In Narda'a, they would read again some of scripture, dafka ksuvim, Shabbos afternoon. So they did read ksuvim. So Ella, itmer. So we got some version wrong. So we're going to have two approaches. Approach number one, that Rav was not speaking about the time of the day. Rav was speaking about the location. If you are in the shul and the rabbi there is giving a speech, to go and read some geschmacka piece of ksuvim, that's already disrespectful. But the isur that the Chachamim gave was only in the Beis HaMedrash. But if you're not there, you are at home, even though Mustama, you know why you're not there is because you have a better program. They never made a takon on that. That is what Rav said. Shmuel says, doesn't matter where you are, but even Shmuel agreed, which means any time after the meal. Yes, you may learn ksuvim, both in the shul and at home, and that's why in Narda they follow that ruling. In the morning, they read Haftarah only from Nevi'im. In the afternoon, they would read a Haftarah from Ksuvim. And the Shmuel Taimei, the Benarda Paski Sidra, the Ksuvim, the Minchas of the Shabbat. So is one approach. Says the Gemara. Rav Ashi says, no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. The Machlokes of Rav and Shmuel is as we learned before. So now we have a problem, because according to the first version, Shmuel, when he debated Rav, when he disagreed with Rav, he said that afilu shloi bizman beis hamedrash ein koren. But if that's the case, how did they paskin in his city in Narda? Why did they read ksuvim in the mincha? So the Gemara says that Shmuel holds like Rav Nechemia. And who Rav Nechemia? What Rav Nechemia? As we'll see in a moment, that Rav Nechemia does not agree with the Tan of our Mishnah. The Tanya, where do we find Rav Nechemia in the following brayso? Right? That we can't read from it. You can't read from it. But you can learn Torah that is based on ksuvim. So, for example, you have Midrash Tehillim, right? You quote the Midrash Tehillim, you have a Midrash Koheles that you could learn. You're learning Torah based on the words, and not only that, but if you're learning the Midrash, that's much harder. It's not easy reading. It's not going to be easy, more attractive than the Drush of the Rav. If nitzrach lo pasuk, and if while you're learning it, you have to look up a verse, even that, maybe Viraya, this is the Tanach. However, Rav Nechemia, you, the Tanach, hold that you can learn Medrash Koheles, Medrash Tehillim, and therefore, as long as you're looking in the Ksuvim itself, not to read it casually, but as a limud, you're allowed to do it. That's because you, the Tanach, hold, like we have been learning from the beginning, like we learned at Rashi in the Mishnah, that the only reason why there was such a gezeda not to learn Ksuvim is to make sure that people will go to the rabbi's halachic class. And therefore, they felt that learning a Medrash won't stop people from going into the rabbi's halachic class. But Rav Nechemia has a whole nother reason. Rav Nechemia holds the reason why Chazal said not to read Ksuvim is for people to draw the following Kal V'chomer, that the Chachamim are restricting what I can read on Shabbos. And if even Kisvei HaKodesh ain't Koren, so people will conclude V'kol Shchein B'shitrei Hadyotis. Now, study Hadyotis is a sugya that we will have on Kuf Mem Tes. We'll speak about it then. But there's certain types of documents. Let's go with the general approach that are business related. To Vachadik, that one is not allowed to read during the week. On Shabbos. Can't read on Shabbos Kodesh. And people, they felt, are not going to really keep this rule that you can't read these documents, even though they are business related. So they made a bigger, more radical gezeda. They said, don't even read Ksuvim. And people are going to say, Ksuvim, Kedusha, if I can't read Ksuvim, for sure I'm not going to read Shtadei Hadyotos. Bottom line is that Rav Nechemia doesn't hold that the reason why we can't read Ksuvim is to bolster, right, the attendance in the Beis HaMedrash. If that would be the reason, then like the Tanach and the Braisa says, if you're going to learn it in depth, you're going to already go to the rabbi's drasha. Shmuel held that Rav Nechemia is right. The reason is nothing to do with bolstering attendance, but yes, it has to do with Rav Nechemia. And based on that, we are more restrictive. So the Shmuel debated Rav. Let's go back to the first version. Rav says you only can read it when? In the morning, before you make Kiddush. In the afternoon, you can read it. Shmuel says you can't read it the whole day. That's based on Rav Nechemia, because if the reason why we can't read Ksuvim is as to remind everyone, you for sure cannot read the Shtari Hadyoitis. Guys, I'm not allowed to read Shtari Hadyoitis even in the afternoon. But all of that was only when Shmuel was debating Rav. However, what's the final answer? I think this is linked to the whole debating sugya. When you debate, that's human nature. When you say A, I say the opposite to debate you. Shmuel really himself, the Poyel Mamish, didn't pass him like Rab Nechemia. He really accepted Das Rabbin, that the whole reason has to do with making sure people go into the halachic class. So the Poyel Mamish, Shmuel said in the afternoon, anyways, there are no halachic classes, you can read Ksuvim, and they actually read Ksuvim in the Batei Midrashim in Nahar after Mincha. I think that's the link. No, Shmuel, when he was debating Rav, he took Rav Nechemia. Rav Nechemia disagrees, but the halacha l'maisa, Shmuel the Poyel did not paskin like Rav Nechemia. One second, in Shulchan Aruch, right? Here's the thing that we paskin that since today there is no such minig of darshaning halachos Shabbos during davening. And the reason for that is because now the Eis Lasis Lashem Efeder to the Secha is so, everything is printed. Everything is black and white. Many things changed. There was a rule that Shloshim Yom B'fnei Chag, you have to be Doidish V'Hilchas HaChag. Halachically, a Rav doesn't have to do that. A Rav has to inspire the Balabatim that they should learn on their own. You know, many big Rabbanim, they never passed in any dinim. That's the best Rav. You have a Shaila, the Rav would pull out a Shulchan Aruch, let the Alter Rebbe paskin, and show you where it says. We're not poiskim. Everything was gepaskint already. We just have to review them. So since it's not that if you're not going to learn Shabbos morning, you're not going to have access to the halachas. Open up a sefer. So since we don't give drashos of Isser v'Heter in the morning, therefore halachically we are allowed to read Ksuvim even in the morning, even in the shul. Go back and now, if I can't, the Friedrich never made a takana that the Hillim should be said every day, including Shabbos. And the Ragat Shavar said something brilliant. As a remnant of the times that none of the oral Torah was written down, halachas were not written down. You only knew it if you went to the Beis Medrash Shabbos day. And it wasn't such a Geshmak Drasha. You were listening to a dry speech of halachas. So they ruled you can't read anything that might be more attractive. There's nothing else to do to bolster the attendance, but since there was such a takana, so he says like this, that Magdil Yeshua Smalkoi, these words are from Ksuvim. Magdil is a pasuk in Tehillim. Magdil is Tehillim. Migdal is a pasuk in Shmuel, what the Goyim call Shmuel Beis. I'm saying the Goyim calling it because Yidden, we never had Shmuel Beis, we have Shmuel. The Goyim gave it Shmuel Aleph, Shmuel Beis. But good, for some reason, strange reason, we still go by that. So to remember that there used to be a takana, not to read Ksuvim, whether it is Shabbos morning or the entire Shabbos. So when, at least one pasuk, we don't quote it the way it's written in Ksuvim. We don't say Magdil Tehillim, we say Migdal, Nach, Nevi'im, we can always learn the way it's written in Nevi'im. Gavaldik. Good, now we know why. So now we'll move
Rabbi,
on.
what did we recently learn that the Kohen Gadol learned Yom Kippur night to stay up?
Perfect proof that the Yom Kippur, they read to him the Ksuvim. Fakir, that's the right, because Ksuvim is Pashut Geshmak. Go learn, whoever did not yet learn Mishlei. It's moedic, it's poetic, it's wise, it chaps you. It's like Agadata. So when you want to,
I thought it was because it was complicated, so he wouldn't fall asleep because he had to focus.
If someone is trying to fall asleep, you'll go give him a Gemara class. Go see what happens. I promise you, it's like the best sleeping medication. If you can't fall asleep, open up a sefer. But if you know how to read Lashon HaKodesh, or today Yiddish translations, go read Ksuvim. You'll see you won't be able to put the sefer down. And Imamish, and if the Rav is giving a halacha class, if you have to choose between hearing the rabbi teach halachas or reading Ksuvim, Faket Ksuvim is it's the geschmackste part of scripture. Okay. Says the next Mishnah, Behemshech, we're still learning about Kisvei HaKodesh. That this heter of you saving is not only on a sefer. Matzilan tika sefer ima sefer. Once you can save the sefer, if it's in a tik, and the tik is expensive, it's in a Sfardische golden sefer Torah holder. If it would be a standalone, lav dafka, you can save it, as we'll learn soon in the next Mishnayos. But since you can save the sefer, take out the tick. Likewise, the tick tefillin together with the tefillin. And a bigger chiddush, even though there is money in them, and by the way, it's usher to put money in them. And someone put it there by Yisr. But if there is money in them, once it's there, we're going to learn in the Gemara, the tick is a basis, l'davar hamutar, l'davar ha'asr. We'll get into that soon. You are allowed to save it. Now we begin. What is b'chlal the issue? Like, why do we need a heter? What type of environment are we allowed to take it into? What is the problem and what's the heter? So here we have a machloikes. So we quoted Rashi in the Mishnah that said that we're speaking about a mavui she'einoi mefulish. A mavui she'einoi mefulish means a street that is closed off on 3 of its sides. And as we learned a little bit in the beginning, we're going to learn about it a lot in Eruvin, that a area that's closed off fully in 3 sides, like a U, biblically is already at a Reshus HaYachid. The only problem is the Midrabanan, they were afraid that you're going to carry from it into the Reshus HaRabim, and the way you resolve it is by putting a lecha yurakoya. So lehechon matzilon, lamavi she'ena mefulash. But a mavi mefulash, that means a mavi that is walled in 2 of its sides, but it's opened in both ends. An open street is a bigger problem. There's a bigger issue to carry there. To there not. However, ben beseda oimer, that when we're speaking about being matzel, kisvei kodesh, it's even to a mavi mefulash, and we're going to learn more about this in the Gemara later. Let's at least begin the following sugya. Now it's beautiful how we're going me'in and le'in. We had a Mishnah, right? We're going to focus on the ratio of the Mishnah of safing the Sefer Torah with its stick. We're going to jump now to Pesach. My friends, even though, as a rule, a private carbon may not be brought on Shabbos, because when you offer a carbon, there are many activities that are in blatant violation of avis malachis, shchita, right? Flaying, mafshit. It's one of the things you cannot do in the Mishnah on Daf Ayin Gimel. Nevertheless, we're going to learn in Psachim that carbon Pesach, since groups bring it together, it's viewed like a carbon sibur. And when the 14th of Nisan, the day upon which you normally have to bring the carbon Pesach, falls out on Shabbos, you bring the carbon Pesach, but there are restrictions. So let's begin to learn the restrictions. So Ton Rabbanon, recording beginning with the B'Shabbos, Pesach is on Sunday. The Achilas carbon, the roasting of the carbon is Motzei Shabbos. Machlal Yontiv, you're allowed to do that. But you have to shech the dafka during the day. Says the Tanach, yes, you shecht it. Yes, mafshitin as a Pesach, you have to flay it. Guys, hefshit ha'oid is one of the avos. However, you can only flay it until the chest. Adachaz. What's the chachma of the chest? That there are many chalavim, there are many inner parts of the animals that have to be offered on the Mizbech Shabbos day. To get to it, we'll see later, really theoretically, you can argue, make a little incision, and from it, take out the chalev. That we don't do. We'll see why. L'kul alma. You can flay it. Only flay it until the chest. Once the chest is exposed, then you can properly take out all of the chalavim, all of the parts of the fats that have to go on the mizbeach, but you may not flay it fully, because flaying it fully is for whose benefit? It's no longer needed for the avodah of Shabbos. You want to flay, take off all the hide, so tonight, Motzei Shabbos, before you roast it, the meat is available to roast. Seder, do that at night. Do that when you are allowed to do it. Only do until the chaz. That's the chachamim. I'm sorry. That's the words of Rabbi Shmuel ben Shel Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch. However, the chachamim oimrim, no, mafshitin eskula. You are allowed to flay it in its entirety. Now, says the Gemara, Bishleim, what is that with our Mishnah? Wait. Bishleim Shmuel ben Shel Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch. The reason why you have to stop is because the only justification to flay the hide is because there is a tzorech gevaya. The tzorech gevaya is fully addressed when you already have the chest exposed. You can get easy access to all of the chalavim. The ha'is avid leila tzorech gevaya, whatever was needed was already fulfilled. You want to flay the rest because you want to roast the meat? Seder, do that at night. El Rabbanan, indeed, my tamam. So now says the Gemara, this is the reason. Since it says a pasuk in Mishli, Kol Payal Hashem Lama'aneu, that all that Hashem does is for Hashem's own honor. And from that, Chazal learn, we're not only speaking about the reason for which God does it for his honor, but really this is a pasuk inspiring us that whenever we do a mitzvah, we should do the mitzvah not for us. We should do the mitzvah l'manehu, for God's honor. We're going to quote this pasuk as the Alter Rebbe brings it in Tanya Perek Chav Zayin. It's mamish linked to our sugya. No, it's everything we do to give God's glory. And therefore, so let's go. And therefore, since it's more honorable to flay the entire meat, to flay the entire animal, why is it more honorable? We'll see in a moment. Even though you're also doing it for you. You're doing it because you want to be able to eat quicker. You want to have access to the meat. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that you also benefit. There is an aspect of, I'm doing something that adds to kavod shamayim. It's more bachavadik for the carbon itself if it's fully flayed. So the Chachamim hold that this concept, of kol poyel Hashem l'maneu, being that God gave us a heter to shecht an animal. It's not like I'm going to be mechalel Shabbos to give God honor. Where's the honor there? I'm going against God's will. But when I am already allowed to break the Shabbos, I can shecht the carbon Pesach. Why will I stop in middle? I'm only going to flay it until the chest because for this specific need of getting to the fats, I already have enough exposure. But there is another degradation of psar kachim. So to give more greatness, more kavod to the kachim, you can flay it completely. Now the Gemara wants to clarify, how does it add more honor? So there's two approaches. Either Rabbi Yosef says, when you leave the meat in its hide, then it becomes hotter, it doesn't cool off, and this is about God. So the meat can rot. It's not bachavadik to have kachim that rot quicker, that begin to decompose, not as fresh as. Rava says, another reason, it doesn't look bachavadik. By an avela that you don't plan to eat, you leave it half flayed. And there's an afkamina, says the Gemara, between these two opinions. Number one, the manach apeseda de da'ava. If you put this half-flayed carbon pesach on a golden table, according to Rava, it already doesn't look like an avela. You have it on a golden table, and therefore, even according to the Chachamim, you'll not be allowed to flay all of it. It's already bachavadik. But if the reason is because you don't want it to decompose, then you could. Or in the reverse, inama yoimam da astana. It's a day that there are good winds. The northern winds, you have winds that don't allow meat to decompose quickly. Again, even like Chachamim, if there's no kavod shamayim, then you cannot flay all of it. Now, why does Rabbi Shmuel Benoi Shel Rabbi Yechim Meruka do with the pasuk Kol Pal Hashem L'Maneu? Right? Which again, everyone agrees that this pasuk is telling us that whatever we do, it should be done b'kavana kavod shamayim. And according to Rabbi Shmuel Benoi, if I am also doing it for me, I'm eating a juicy cholent and I can shout L'Kuvot Shabbos Kodesh until I'm blue in my face. According to Rabbi Shmuel, it has no value. Because let's be honest, yeah, you're doing it also because of Kavod Shabbos. You're also doing it because of your taiva. So that there's no validity. That's the machlokes here in the Tanoim. But he still applies this pasuk, Shelo Yotzi Esrei Murim Kodim Afshat HaSoir. In other words, that you can't make a minimum incision and theoretically you can stick your hand into that incision and get the chaylev out. But that's takanat b'chavadik. That you should not do. You are allowed to flay it until the chazah. And why is that? How is it not b'chavadik? So Amar Afunim Mishmei Rav Nassan, because of the nimen. Nimen are strands of hair, strands of wool, that if you don't at least take away the hide, even though you made an incision, when you're pulling the chaylev out, it's going to pass by a hairy part of the hide, and some of those hairs will go in the chaylev. And that's not honorable to put on the mizbeach a piece of chaylev. Like for us, it's disgusting. For God, it's also kaviyachol the same, disgusting. Okay, so now that we have this machloikas, that's the crux. Everyone agrees I have to do things l'kavod shamayim. But if I'm doing something that is both for God and it's for me, is it considered kavod shamayim or not? That is the link we'll have with our Mishnah. I just want to, before we go on it's late, just to point out that the Alter Rebbe in Perek Chav Zayin, in the sugya of simcha, people are sad. They told the Alter Rebbe that, look, I'm always struggling with my animal soul. So the Alter Rebbe says, you should be happy. The biggest, the greatest thing that we accomplished here is not Esabcha, but the Alter Rebbe argues that dafka da avoida of Iskafya, and every time we have an inner struggle and we do the right thing, this gives God great nachas. And the Alter Rebbe quotes this pasuk that Kol Poel Hashem lemaneu v'gam weiter v'gam rasha b'yom ra, or something like that. So the Alter Rebbe explains that the real honor to God is when we struggle with good and bad. That's what we're talking about, the hide and the meat. Separating good from bad is the biggest kavod shamayim, but we have to do it l'kavod shamayim. And here again, there's a machlokes. If I do it both l'kavod shamayim, and for me, is it still called kavod shamayim? And that's the link between our Mishnah. We have to chop one more line. So now says the Gemara, Amar Rav Chizam ba Amar Marupa. We have a tradition that that we know that the Chachamim had another argument with him. They rebutted him. What did they? And it's not written anywhere in the Tanoim. But let's write down what else did they challenge Rabbi Shmuel with. So they told him, they challenged him from our Mishnah. And our Mishnah says that that you can save the tick with the Sefer Torah. So hold on. When you're saving the tick with the Sefer Torah, with the money, why are you saving it? Well, you're saving it for Kavod Shamayim. You're saving it because of your money. And yet you can save it. The fact that you're doing something also for you doesn't take away the fact that you're also doing it like Kavod Shamayim. Is like nafshidas ha-pesach me'oiroi. I don't care that you're also doing it for your own interior motives. It should be good that you're also doing it l'shem shamayim. So, and on that, the Gemara says that is not what they told him, because that's not an argument. Why is it not an argument? Because you're confusing our Mishnah and Amsachim. Our Mishnah is not speaking about a Isur D'Oraisa, like we mentioned. Here we're violating a Derabanan. Tircha, Mavi She'ena Mafulash, we'll learn Mavi Mafulash. So when it comes to an Isur Derabanan of Tiltul, even though you are also doing it for yourself, since you are also doing it for God's honor, that's okay. It's considered Kavod Shamayim. But over there, in Psachim, we're speaking about Hafshatas Oir. That's a Isur D'Oraisa. For that, Rabbi Shmuel is right, that you can only do it if you're doing it purely for God. If you are also doing it for you, that's a much higher madrega than according to Rabbi Shmuel. It's not considered l'shem shamayim, and they did not even challenge him from our Mishnah the way you understood it. A lot more to be continued. It's late. Let's go run to shul.
Yeshar Koach, Rabbi.
Thank you.